Live from the tank on the campus of the College of Staten Island, you're watching exclusive men's CUNY basketball coverage right here on CSI Sportsnet. Today in the second game of the doubleheader, the College of Staten Island's men's basketball team will face York College as the men look to extend their winning streak to 5 games in a row. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Babusky, joined by Joe Foreman once again. And, Joe, for those fans that might have joined us late, they missed a very exciting contest. The Dolphins were challenged. Their lead cut down to 13, but the Dolphins ultimately pulled away and won the opening game by a final score of 74-46.
And it was a huge first half for the Dolphins in our first contest of the day. They led by 20 at halftime over the Cardinals of York College. York dominated on the glass throughout the game, but that simply wasn't enough. They shot the ball too poorly in the first half, and the Dolphins shot it extremely well over the course of the game. They were shooting about 40% at halftime. They wrapped up the game shooting nearly 43%. So you have to like what you saw from the Dolphins shooting it. Elena DeMontro shot it well, very well off the bench. Megan McEwen shot it well. She, of course, got the start, played very well once again. And also, Christina Camerlengo, our guest in the postgame, shot it well off the bench, was 4 of 7 from beyond the arc. Really got going. I believe it was either a 1 of 5 or a 2 of 6 start for Camerlengo. I'm not exactly sure where she started, but she finished very strongly, shooting the ball 4 of 7 from three-point range. And for the Dolphins, getting dominated on the boards throughout the game didn't really hurt them because York simply didn't knock down enough shots. They were great on the glass, but unfortunately not much else went right. Turnovers, a big part of the reason why the Cardinals simply couldn't hang with the Dolphins throughout the entire second half.
And, you know, Joe, for the Dolphins, they're now undefeated 4-0 in the conference, and they have won 7 out of their last 8 games. So as they start rolling in with 3 conference games coming up in the next 6 games, the team is starting to heat up a little bit.
We mentioned about it during the women's pregame. Both Brooklyn and Hunter looming. Hunter up first, then Brooklyn. Those are 2 huge matchups for the Dolphins in the CUNYAC Conference right now. You just mentioned the Dolphins 4-0. Hunter, a 3-win unbeaten record. Brooklyn only a single win, but still unbeaten nonetheless. And the Dolphins have those 2 games coming up this week. We'll be at home on Saturday against Hunter, and then next week they will be on the road against Brooklyn and Lehman, as you mentioned during our previous game earlier in the night. But we turn our attention to the men now. They're coming off a big victory in the Tournament of Heroes over Tufts University. Dolphins defeated the Jumbos in that game 98-94, one of the most exciting games I've ever covered here on CSI Sportsnet. Dolphins led by 3 at the end of the first half, but the Jumbos simply did not go away. This was a back-and-forth game from start to finish, but in that game, Dolphins got strong efforts from Adiola Latunji, Christian Taylor, and Stephen Flagg, all scoring at least 21 points in that game. Flagg with 21, Taylor with 22, and Latunji with 24. Andrew Cartalis also scored double digits with 10. He had some big shots down the stretch, including a pair of three-pointers. He was 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. And looking at the box score from this game, another thing that jumps out, Dolphins 24 of 31 from the free throw line in that game, 12 of 15 individually for Christian Taylor. So in a game against the Jumbos team that shot the three-pointer extremely well in their matchup during round 1 against Bates, they once again shot the ball a lot from three-point range, not necessarily well against the Dolphins. So CSI was able to capitalize on that and score just enough to win the game by 4 points.
Yeah, you know, Joe, it was a game that the Dolphins really had to come back in the second half, and they got just really some unbelievable play out of Stephen Flagg. He had a lot of discussion about the possible MVP of the tournament, the way he played in that second half as Stephen finished that game with 21 points. And, you know, you looked at the size of this Jumbo team and, you know, players like Luke Rogers, who ended up finishing the game with 24 points on 10 of 13 shooting and 9 rebounds. And, you know, all of the good all-around play that the Jumbos were able to get, but it wasn't enough against a very determined Dolphin team, Joe, that never quit in that second half. Were able to come all the way back and hold on to win by 4 points at the buzzer, 98-94, as the Dolphins won the Tournament of Heroes for only the 3rd time in their history, and really one of the better games that we've seen here at the Tank, Joe.
And you're absolutely right about that. You mentioned Stephen Flagg and his impact. I believe he played somewhere between 2 and 4 minutes in that first half, played huge minutes and a lot of minutes in the second half, finished the game shooting 7 of 17, 7 of 8 from the free throw line with 21 points. But a tremendous effort from Flagg in that game. I already mentioned Christian Taylor as well, 12 of 15 from the line, 22 points, and Adiola Latunji added 24 points of his own. But another Dolphins game from that Tournament of Heroes was played against Bates. That's another game where the Dolphins played extremely well. For CSI in that game, Adiola Latunji and Christian Taylor, as has been the norm, both scoring over 20 points. Taylor had 20, Latunji had 23, but once again, a pair of other double-digit scores for the Dolphins in that game, and that's something that's going to be big for them. That's a big reason why I brought up this Bates game. Once again, the Dolphins with 4 double-digit scores, and if this team can get that kind of scoring output, we've seen it from Taylor and Latunji all year, but if they can get double-digit scoring from 2 or 3 players off the bench, they put themselves in very good positions to win games.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, Joe. And, as we get into the new year, we start to pay a little bit more attention to the CUNYAC standings. And you look at the CUNYAC standings, what a huge swing game for the Dolphins here tonight. Baruch coming in with a record of 2-0, as you see the standings up on your screen. Brooklyn also undefeated. The Dolphins 2-1, having that loss to John Jay with a win here today. Again, you can see the huge swing in the standings show. Dolphins win here tonight. They put themselves right up toward the top of the table. With a loss, they'll drop down to 500 in the conference and put themselves right in the muddy middle. So as we get into these conference games, so much happens so quickly. 4 conference games coming up for the men in the next 7 days.
And those conference games are always big ones, and we saw that matchup with John Jay here at home. We covered it on CSI Sportsnet. You mentioned a Dolphins defeat at the hands of the Bloodhounds, and a big issue for the Dolphins in that game was the rebounding. Doug Levy, as I mentioned during that game, appeared to be a man among boys in the paint. The Dolphins simply had no answer for him on the glass or offensively, as Levy really dominated down in the low post. CSI just struggled to prevent the Bloodhounds from getting second opportunities in that game, but it was a close back-and-forth game. The Bloodhounds were able to stave off a late Dolphins push down the stretch, ultimately extending their lead to a much bigger win than the scoreboard indicated a much bigger win than the Bloodhounds actually had in that one. But still, not a very poor effort from CSI. There was a lot to build on coming out of that game. I'm trying to pull up the stats in that game very quickly against John Jay. I have those right here as I open up the box score on my laptop in front of me. But in that game, the Dolphins were defeated 83-76. And overall in that game, John Jay shot 28 of 61, including 7 of 18 from beyond the arc. They had 44 rebounds in that game to the Dolphins 39. So the Dolphins were only a -5, but so many of those 44 John Jay rebounds were key rebounds down the stretch. And it seems like the Dolphins were able to correct some of the issues they had in that game during the Tournament of Heroes, which is great to see, because now you open up the conference portion of your schedule where the games become that much more important.
Yeah, and Joe, as we start to look a little bit at the conference statistics, Christian Taylor leading the conference in scoring, averaging just under 23 points a game, and Adiola Latunji in third place in scoring, averaging 19.8 points a game. So the Dolphins with the 2 of the top 3 scorers in the conference here as we head into the second half of the season.
And it's been a spectacular season for Christian Taylor once again. Same goes for Adiola Latunji. Not only are they leading the way in scoring for the Dolphins, but they're doing so with incredible efficiency. Taylor shooting 50%, Latunji shooting 50% from the field. Taylor is shooting 50% from three-point range, albeit on only 16 attempts, but Latunji's attempted 33s and is shooting 40%. So tremendous efficiency from those two players from the field. It's really been a great season for the two of them offensively, but also on the glass for Latunji, averaging 8.5 rebounds. Taylor averaging 5.9 rebounds per game from the point guard position. And really, when you're getting that kind of production from two players, you don't need much more in many games. If you can get 2 or 3 other players to contribute double digits, it's very tough for you to lose when you have 2 20-point scorers. And the Dolphins got, a pair of additional double-digit scores in a couple of games during the Tournament of Heroes, and that proved big for them as they went all the way and took the Tournament of Heroes championship.
Joe, let's turn our attention to here a little bit to the Cardinals for a couple of minutes. York coming in with a 4-7 record overall. 0-3 in the conference. They've lost already to Brooklyn, Hunter, and Lehman College, but they've been close in a couple of those games, losing to Brooklyn by 10, just 4 points to Hunter and 14 to Lehman. So this is a team that has played very well, struggling, looking for their first conference win. A huge game for them tonight. You know they're going to be desperate, and they're also coming into tonight's game with the CUNYAC Rookie of the Week, Darren Dove, who's played very well as a freshman here for the Cardinals.
And you know that these CUNYAC teams come to play in just about each and every one of these conference games. It's very rare that we see a lopsided blowout on the men's side. It has been few and far between when we see those types of games, it is definitely a rare occurrence. And taking a look at this Cardinals team on the season, a team that averages about 74 points per game while allowing 80, so their scoring differential about 6 or 7 points on the year. They shoot just shy of 40% while allowing the opposition to shoot up around 44%. And if they allow 44% shooting to this Dolphins team tonight, it's hard to imagine CSI doesn't come away with the victory. They're going to need to defend better than that here tonight against CSI. And from downtown this season, they're shooting about 30% themselves. They are allowing 37% shooting from three-point range, and that's something that will also have to be improved upon by this Cardinals defense in this game. And we'll take a look at some individual stats for York College as well, as I'm getting some hand signals from Dave. That's for the camera up top, and they're trying to get the camera shot on York as we discussed the Cardinals during our pregame, but to no avail. As taking a look here at the stats for York College, I'm trying to find the points column. It seems to be different with every team. There it is, leading the way. You already mentioned him. It's Darren Dove with 16.5 points a game, and also Tayshawn Forehand Jenkins has 13.8 points per game on the season, shooting 46% from the field. So Forehand Jenkins shooting the ball very well, and Devon Chisholm also shooting up above 40% and averaging 8.9 points per game. Taking a look down this York roster, some of the leading scorers have some very efficient shooting percentages from the field, but that just hasn't translated to a team-wide efficiency from the field. We'll see if that changes tonight.
And you know, Joe, before we take our final break, before we get ready to go, the men's team, like the women, only one loss since November. That was their loss at home against John Jay. So the men have been hot and have had some 3 big back-to-back non-conference wins over the holiday period.
And those were big wins for the Dolphins, like you just said. Absolutely huge wins for this CSI team. In terms of building confidence, they got off to a slow start once again this year. I'm sure TJ Tibbs and the coaching staff would have liked to see the Dolphins start off a bit stronger this year. But we saw it last year as well. This team got off to a slow start, bounced back from that once they returned home, and really kicked up the conference portion of their schedule, as that railing got in your way there, Mike. But the Dolphins have picked things up as of late and have played very well as of late. We saw that in those non-conference matchups, especially during the Tournament of Heroes. You have to be impressed with what the Dolphins did against Tufts University and against Bates. They shot the ball extremely well in those games, and that was the one big outlier for the Dolphins. We weren't sure if they could maintain the high percentage shooting that we've seen from them in their recent games, but against Bates and Tufts, they did shoot the ball pretty well in those games, and it was enough to help them secure the victories over a couple of tough opponents, especially the Jumbos. Bates came in struggling a bit. CSI really took it to them, shooting the ball 34 of 63 in that game, but against some stout competition in the Jumbos, we saw what they could do the night before they played the Dolphins. CSI managed to give a complete 4-quarter effort in that one at both ends of the floor, and the coaching staff really had to like what they saw from their team in that game. Also, it has to be a huge confidence boost for CSI going up against the Jumbos team that looked so formidable the night before, and then taking them out the following evening to secure the Tournament of Heroes championship on their home floor.
So it's going to be the College of Staten Island against York College. We're just a minute or so away from the start of this afternoon's game. So why don't we keep it right here, Joe, as we look for a big game for the Dolphins. And, you know, Joe, we mentioned it a little bit before during the pregame show. Big swing game here for the Dolphins, coming in with a 2-1 record in the conference.
Well, I'm not sure if it was 2 years ago or last year. Last year, I know the Dolphins, Mike, I have to ask you, I'm sorry, were the Dolphins perfect in the conference last year? I know they were 2 years ago. They were not. Okay, so CSI not perfect in the conference last year, suffered an early defeat within the CUNYAC this year, so that makes this game much bigger, as you just mentioned, and we're about to hit zeros on the clock to wrap up our pregame, and you mentioned you wanted to look for big games from some Dolphins tonight. Look no further than Christian Taylor and Adiola Tunji. They've been the biggest factors for the Dolphins offensively all season, and Stephen Flagg, joining the team midseason, provided some huge scoring punch in that last game as well. Some huge minutes from Flagg, and the Dolphins, I'm sure, will be looking to him once again to provide a spark to this team's shooting.
Yeah, so the CSI Dolphins come into tonight's game having won their last 4 games and 5 out of their last 6, as they won the Tournament of Heroes for the 3rd time in their history here right before the start of the New Year's. So now it's back in conference play with conference play for the Dolphins. Their first of 4 conference games to take place over the next week. And why the players are being introduced out on the floor, why don't we bring you tonight's starting lineups? And here to bring you the starters, my broadcast partner, Joe Foreman. Joe?
First, for the visiting York College Cardinals, it is 5'10 freshman guard Luca Tamer. Next starter for the Cardinals, a 5'9 freshman guard, number 2, Divine Chisholm. A 6'1 senior guard, number 10, Darren Dove. He leads the team in scoring. Fourth starter for the Cardinals, a 6'3 sophomore forward, number 11, Stephen Cadet. And rounding out the starting lineup for the Cardinals, a 6'5 sophomore forward, number 12, Akil Vaughn. And for the College of Staten Island, being introduced on the left side of your screen, you see the camera pan now, being introduced on your screen for CSI, it is number 1, Stephen Flagg, number 2, Adiola Latunji, number 3, Rigo Destime, number 22, Shamal Martin, and number 23, Christian Taylor. The Dolphins come into this game with a record of 6-6, 2-1 in the CUNYAC Conference. Cardinals enter at 4-7, winless in 3 games within the CUNYAC Conference.
And you know, Joe, we look at this CSI Dolphin team, and we look at the York Cardinal roster, and one of the first things that jumps out at you on this Cardinal roster, no player over 6'5", Joe, on the roster.
And that should certainly benefit the Dolphins in this one as Shamal Martin gets the start. He is the Dolphins' biggest player. Martin listed at 6'7", so the Dolphins will have a size advantage on one of the rare occasions in this 2018 season. We've seen the Dolphins have some issues on the board, but that has only translated to a net negative rebounding margin of -5 on the season per game. So for the Dolphins, they've done good work on the boards despite being outsized in many of their matchups so far this year.
Yeah, and you know, Joe, we mentioned the Dolphins coming off of that huge win over the weekend against Tufts in the Tournament of Heroes Championship. Lots of players played great in that game for the Dolphins, but Christian Taylor, Adiola Latunji, and Stephen Flagg in the second half really just played phenomenal games to help the Dolphins win their 3rd championship.
They certainly did, and I think one of the biggest takeaways from the Tournament of Heroes, as I've already mentioned a couple of times, the Dolphins got double-digit scoring contributions from multiple players in both games. I should say multiple players outside of Christian Taylor and Adiola Latunji. We've seen Stephen Flagg score it well since he's entered the starting lineup, and you got to look at the Dolphins' all-time success against York on your screen as we're underway from the tank.
So the Dolphins have won their last 6 in a row against the Cardinals, as you saw on your screen, as we're underway, as that ball immediately fed inside to Dove, but he's going to get called for the travel, so the Cardinals will turn the ball over on their first possession.
Dove was immediately swarmed by Dolphins. You have to think that they've heard the scouting report and are prepared for his offensive prowess.
Destine with the basketball as the Cardinals come out and try to triple team the ball on the trap, but the Dolphins able to break through. Flagg with the basketball, feeds it over to Destine. Back to Flagg. His open three-pointer is good, and he played with a load of confidence and gets off to a good start here tonight, Joe.
He certainly did, and Flagg's been getting it done from both inside and out at the offensive end of the floor. Has an early three-pointer in this one.
It's Chisholm with the basketball, now working it up over to Dove. Dove looking to work against Latunji. Now it's Cadet as the Cardinals work the ball around quickly, and the open three-pointer by Chisholm is good. Chisholm, a 5'9 freshman, and we're tied at 3. Flagg bringing the ball across the midcourt line now as the Dolphins look to set up. They work the ball in the corner now quickly to Latunji, back out over to Flagg. Now it's the steam. He thought about the 3. Extra pass over to Taylor. His open 3 is up, no good. And going up high for the rebound is Vaughn for the Cardinals.
That's the same spot where Stephen Flagg found himself wide open on the previous possession, but Taylor couldn't connect on the open look.
Tamer with the basketball. He hands off to Dove, but we're going to have a moving screen on the play, and that's going to be called on Tamer. And that foul will be his first and the team's first. Dolphins to inbound the basketball as Latunji gets it in and feeds it over to Destime. And once again, Cardinals trying to trap along the sidelines as the Dolphins bring it up the floor. Latunji puts up the open three-pointer. Destime with the three-pointer, and that gives the Dolphins a 6-3 lead. All three-pointers so far, Joe.
And there have been openings on that left wing. That one a bit more contested than the first 2 looks.
As Dove able to force that ball up to the basket and lay it up and in. 6-5 game now as the Dolphins lead by 1. And once again, Cardinals looking to trap. Taylor breaks right through and drives it to the basket and lays it up and in.
And we haven't seen Christian Taylor slowed down by any opponent taking it to the rim this season, and it looks like that may continue with a finish like that.
Yeah, we mentioned earlier, Joe, Taylor, the leading scorer in the CUNYAC Conference, averaging 22.7 points a game as Dove rises up and buries the three-pointer to tie us up at 8.
Well, a team shooting only 30% from three-point range, hit a couple of early three-pointers.
Now it's Flagg with the basketball for the Dolphins. He's double-teamed. He now feeds it over to Destim. Back over to Taylor. Taylor's open three-pointer is good. 3 3-pointers for the Dolphins so far here tonight.
This game's looking like shooting practice early for these two teams. A lot of open looks from beyond the arc so far.
19 points in the first 3 minutes for both teams as that ball's fed inside to Dove. His shot is no good, and Latunji goes up high to grab the rebound for the Dolphins. Destim in the corner to Flagg. Flagg's open three-pointer is good. 4 3-pointers for the Dolphins here to start the game, and they lead by a score of 14-8. They take their biggest lead of the game early in the game. It's going to be a full timeout, so we'll step aside and take a break. 16:42 remaining. Dolphins lead by a score of 14-8. We'll step aside, and we'll be right back.
Na 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 na, I love you so. I love you, I love you. La 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 la, la 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 la.
We're here.
Yay!
It's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
We're back with the Dolphins leading by a score of 14-8, and Joe, the Dolphins with 4 3-pointers already here tonight.
Dolphins have shot it extremely well early in this game. Good ball movement around the perimeter, and I mentioned there were a couple of open looks from the wing for 3. That was not one of them, but Rigo Destim shooting it in rhythm, stepping into that shot, and knocking it down for 3. One of already 4 Dolphins three-pointers in this game, and if I recall, I think 4 different players have hit the 4 3-pointers, so the Dolphins have to like the shooting they've gotten early on.
Yeah, the Dolphins shooting 83%. They're 5 of 6. Cardinals 75%. They're 3 of 4. Both teams coming out and shooting very well. As that's Dove with the basketball now for the Cardinals. Working it up over to Chisholm, who banks it up and in. And Chisholm listed at just 5'9", freshman player, but he's looked good here in the early going. He has 5. Latunji working the ball in the corner to Cartalis. His open three-pointer is no good, but he's able to grab the long rebound. Now it's Taylor looking to drive his way inside. He loses possession of the basketball, but the Dolphins able to maintain it. Now Cartalis with another open three-point look. That's no good. Martin going up high for the rebound, but can't maintain possession, so it will be Cardinal ball. Dolphins up by 4.
I'm not sure it's going out on a limb to say this game could very well be decided from beyond the three-point line, as both teams have had several good open looks from beyond the arc thus far.
Yeah, interesting start. Both teams coming out playing very well offensively as Cadet hands the ball off to Dove. Dove's pull-up jumper is in and out, and Taylor goes up to grab the rebound for the Dolphins. Taylor working the ball inside to Martin. Now it's back to Taylor. Taylor's open three-pointer. That's up no good. And going up high for the rebound is Vaughn. And here come the Cardinals down 4 with the basketball. Dove in the corner now to Tamer. His three-pointer is up no good. Rebound tipped and comes into the hands of Taylor. Now Flagg with the basketball. Flagg picks up the dribble. Now lobs the ball up over to Cartalis. Back up over to Flagg. Flagg's open three-pointer is good as Steven continues his red-hot shooting. He now has 9 on the day.
Well, it's 3 different Dolphins to connect on a three-pointer, not 4, but Stephen Flagg is 3 of 3 from downtown.
As that back shot is up, no good. Cartalis able to go up and grab the rebound and save it to Taylor. Now Cartalis. Long pass down the floor. Another open three-point look by Latunji is good. The Dolphins red hot from the three-point line.
And that makes 4 Dolphins who have connected on a three-pointer. Flagg, Latunji, Taylor, and Destim have all connected from beyond the arc already early in this first half.
Dolphins on a 6-2 run. They open up their biggest lead of the game. It's 10 points, and we're going to have a foul on the play before the shot I believe that's going to be on Shamal Martin. It will be. That'll be Martin's first, the team's first. So the Cardinals will inbound the basketball from underneath their basket as Darren Dove will come in to inbound the ball.
Well, I mentioned it during the pregame. York allows 37% shooting from downtown. The Dolphins off to a red-hot start. As you mentioned, 6 of 10 in the early going.
Dove with the fader in the lane. That's no good, and flag goes up to grab the rebound now for the Dolphins. Flag, long cross-court pass as the Dolphins continue to work the three-point line. Flag with no hesitation on that three-pointer. This one is no good, and here come the Cardinals looking to run. Cardinals feeding the ball back, is going in and laying the ball up is Chisholm once again, is the freshman leading the Cardinals in scoring. He has 7. 20-12 to score as Latunji gets the ball back up over the flag. Now it's Cartalis as the Dolphins continue to work the ball around the three-point line. That three-pointer by Latunji is up, no good, and the Cardinals grab the rebound. Tamer with the basketball. Now Dove. Dove quickly putting up the three-pointer. That's no good as Cartalis is there to grab the rebound for the Dolphins.
I think the big danger of the Dolphins knocking down all of these three-pointers, perhaps falling in love with the looks from downtown. I'm not saying that they've done that yet or will do it, but you need to make sure the three-pointers you attempt are the good open looks that they've been getting so far.
11 of the 13 Dolphin shots are from 3 as that was an alley-oop into Latunji. A beautiful feed from Taylor, but Latunji couldn't hit the dunk. Now Chisholm pulling up from the free throw line. That's no good. Nice offensive rebound on the play by Vaughn, but his putback is no good, and now Taylor will slow things down for the Dolphins.
And that alley-oop dunk would have sent this building into a frenzy. Everyone saw it coming.
Flag open at the three-point line. That shot is no good, and I think you're right, Joe. Dolphins start to need to work their offense to do a little something more besides shoot the three-pointer. As now Tamer puts up that three-pointer, and that's good. And now the Cardinals on a 5-0 run to make it a 5-point lead, and it's going to be a full timeout on the floor by the Dolphins. So 12:37 remaining here in the first half. Dolphins lead 20-15. We'll step aside, take a break. You're watching men's conference basketball right here on your voice of CSI Sports, CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
Don't worry, 74 people were picked before me in the NFL draft.
To fight childhood obesity, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play at least 60 minutes a day.
Okay, time for the team obstacle course. Yay!
What this place needs is more healthy kids. To get involved or donate, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
We're back with 12 minutes and 37 seconds remaining here in this first half. The Dolphins lead 20-15. Joe, was a 20-10 lead just moments ago.
Well, you saw it flash on your screen before. The Dolphins have attempted 12 of their 14 shots from three-point range, and the Dolphins built that early 10-point lead on the back of the three-point attempts, but unfortunately those three-pointers have stopped falling over the last couple of minutes. It was a strong 6 of 10 start from three-point range for the Dolphins. They've now missed their last 2, and their lead has been cut to 5.
Yeah, just 2 turnovers in the game, those by the Cardinals, as here comes Taylor with the basketball for the Dolphins. Now Cartalis. Cartalis puts up that shot. That's going to be short. Delahanty tips the ball. He checked into the game for the Dolphins, and here comes Chisholm on the run. Chisholm's shot is no good, and Cartalis goes up to grab another rebound. Taylor, beautiful move that time by Taylor to the basket, but he can't hit the layup, and here come the Cardinals with the basketball, down 5. John with the basketball. John driving it down the lane, and he lays it up and in. 7-0 run now for the Cardinals.
This game really beginning to turn. The Cardinals attacking the rim, getting the ball inside. The Dolphins continuing to settle for outside shots.
Nicholas Taylor over to Christian. Dolphins working around. Taylor trying to drive into the lane. His pass inside is nearly stolen, but the Dolphins able to maintain possession as that shot by Destine goes in and out as the Dolphins have cooled down from the field. And an opportunity here for the Cardinals to come back and tie the game. They're in the middle of a 7-0 run. Tamer with the basketball, working it up over to Chisholm. Chisholm feeding the ball inside now to Cadet. Now it's Dove with 8 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Dove pulls up. That three-pointer is up, no good. And they're going to have a whistle and a foul called on Dove as he kind of grabbed Desteem as he was going by, and he'll pick up his first personal, team second in the first half.
Well, he couldn't believe the call, but at the very least it gives him a chance to tie his shoe. He was playing with one sneaker untied and the other on the verge of becoming untied during that last possession. So he'll take care of that as the Dolphins inbound from right in front of us.
So Desteem to inbound the basketball. It's Desteem, Nicholas Taylor, Rigo Desteem, Delahanty, and Austin Mick on the floor. And Mick hit those 2 big back-to-back three-pointers in that game, that in the Tournament of Heroes championship game, that really helped turn that one around as Desteem buries the three-pointer to give the Dolphins a 6-point lead.
And just when it looked like the Dolphins might be beginning to go cold from three-point range, Rigo Desteem hits another Dolphins three-pointer to extend their lead back to 6.
23-17 to score as Tamer brings the ball across the midcourt line for the Cardinals as they look to set up offensively. Now John with the basketball. John looking to work against Mick. Feeding it out over to Chisholm. Chisholm working it into Dove. Dove looking to work against Desteem on the play. Cardinals working the ball around quickly with 4 seconds on the shot clock. That shot is up, no good. Vaughn goes up high to grab the rebound, and he's going to be fouled on the play. As that foul will be on Delahanty. That'll be the first foul by James, the team's second, so the Cardinals will inbound the basketball underneath the basket. Ball fed inside that time to Vaughn, who's able to just lay it up and in. Is Vaughn able to free himself up inside, Joe, for the easy layup?
And the Cardinals have done good work in the paint so far in this game. Already 10 points in the paint for York so far in this game.
Taylor with the basketball out by the three-point line. Taylor cross-court pack goes over to Mick. Mick's open three-pointer is up, no good, but Latunji is there to grab the rebound for the Dolphins. Latunji looking to drive down the baseline. His drive down the lane is up, no good, as he missed the layup, and Tamer there to grab the ball now for the Cardinals. Tamer looking to fight his way inside. Good defense by Taylor, forces his ball out, and now it'll be Malik John with the basketball. John driving, crashes into Delahanty. No foul called on the play. And now it's Desteem with the basketball. Desteem feeding it ahead of the field to Taylor, who lays it up and in. Good eyesight that time by Rigo Desteem.
And the Dolphins making the most of the rebound there on the defensive glass. As we saw Malik John go down, Dolphins had a one-man advantage and capitalized on that, throwing the ball up ahead for the easy layup.
Dolphins lead back up to 6 now with 15 seconds remaining on the shot clock for the Cardinals. John with the basketball. John pull-up jumper is up, no good, and Latunji goes up high to grab the rebound for the Dolphins. Latunji over to Nicholas Taylor. His three-pointer is up, no good. Delahanty tries to keep the ball inbounds but cannot do so, so it will be Cardinal basketball. So you have an opportunity to see that beautiful Desteem feed over to Taylor, who laid it up and in to give the Dolphins that 6-point lead. 25-19 the score. Dolphins lead by 6. 8 minutes and 57 seconds remaining here in this first half. Chisholm inbounding the basketball now for the Cardinals as he'll walk the ball up toward the midcourt line as Nicholas Taylor waiting to defend back at the three-point line for the Dolphins. Chisholm with the basketball. Now it's Dove out by the three-point line. Latunji on top of him. He feeds the ball up over to Vaughn. Vaughn back to Chisholm. Chisholm a nice move but can't complete the layup. And here comes Latunji. Latunji feeds the ball ahead to Desteem. His shot is up, no good. Going up high to grab the rebound is Martin. He misses the putback but draws the foul.
And I think the fans wanted Desteem to throw an alley-oop there to Adeola Latunji, who was trailing him on the fast break. They don't get that, but the Dolphins do get the offensive board. And on the foul call, Shamal Martin will head to the line for a pair.
So Martin will go to the free throw line here for the Dolphins.
And the scoreboard is just shut off and reset.
Dolphins shooting 65% or just under 66% as a team. Shamal Martin going to the free throw line. He's 17 of 27. That's 63% for the Dolphins. 25-19 the score. The clock has 8 minutes and 28 seconds remaining as Martin will go to the free throw line here for the Dolphins to shoot 2. First free throws of the game for either team, as the foul was committed by Chisholm. That's his first, and the third team foul by the Cardinals. Martin's first free throw is short. He'll have one more upcoming.
After a hot start from the field for both sides, both teams now down under 38% shooting. The Dolphins 9 of 24, the Cardinals 8 of 22 with 8:28 to go in the first half.
One more free throw upcoming here for Martin as he makes a second. Dolphins lead by 9, 26-19. 2/3 of the Dolphin attempts have been from the three-point line here in the first half. Chisholm walking the ball across the midcourt line. Nicholas Taylor there to guard him. 20 seconds remaining as the Cardinals get into their offense. Jonathan Jones feeding the ball inside to Dove. Good strong move by Dove to complete the basket. He now has 7.
You can see how he's this team's leading scorer and one of the top scorers in the CUNYAC Conference this year.
Latunji feeding the ball up over to Taylor, but Taylor gets called for the travel. That's the first turnover of the game for the Dolphins, Joe. Just 3 turnovers thus far in the game. 2 for the Cardinals, 1 for the Dolphins.
And both teams have played a fairly clean game so far. Not many turnovers, of course, that being the Dolphins' first. 2 for the Cardinals, but not many forced shots either. Both teams have looked good at the offensive end of the floor, though they've slowed down a bit over the last few minutes.
You see the points in the paint, 12 for the Cardinals, 4 for the Dolphins. Dolphins need to work the ball inside a little bit more as Dove's shot is short, and here comes Destim with the rebound and the basketball. Destim trying to whip the ball into Martin. That pass, a tough pass to handle, and now that'll even the turnovers up at 2 apiece, 2 in a row for the Dolphins.
And with that last miss, Darren Dove drops to 3 of 9 from the field, 1 of 4 from three-point range. So with several players out there having hot hands early in this game, Dove has not been one of them.
Both teams 9 of 24 for the field as that hook shot taken by Vaughn. That's no good, and here come the Dolphins with the basketball. Taylor over to Latunji. Latunji streaking to the basket and lays it up and in. Latunji has 5 now for the Dolphins as they open the lead back up to 7, 28-21. Chisholm working the ball out over to Jonathan Jones. Jones, senior player for this Cardinal team, is we're going to have a traveling violation called on Cadet as the sophomore gets called for the travel.
Right as we commended the teams playing clean basketball, a couple of turnovers in each direction since.
So the Dolphins with a 7-point lead in the basketball. They've led by as many as 10 so far here tonight. They've never trailed as they have possession of the basketball. Taylor with the basketball. Taylor streaking down the lane and laying it up and in, and that time the seas kind of parted, Joe, and Christian stepped right in.
And that's a nicely rested Christian Taylor coming in off the bench. Dolphins cleared the bench for about 5 to 10 minutes there.
As that ball is rejected, the feed ahead to Latunji, who jams it home. The Dolphins have their biggest lead of the game. It's 11.
And the crowd finally got the dunk they were waiting for earlier. We're teased with that alley-oop attempt, but Latunji made no mistakes on that one.
7 points by Latunji. He came into the game as the 3rd leading scorer in the conference, averaging 19.8 points a game. Beautiful shot there by Chisholm to draw the Dolphin lead down to 9.
And a very tough shot there by Divine Chisholm.
As Taylor with a beautiful spin move to lay it up into the basket. So nice moves by Chisholm and Taylor as Chisholm comes right back and lays it up and in again. He now has double digits with 11 points, and head coach T.J. Tibbs not liking what he's seeing defensively on that play, Joe.
Absolutely not. I think that's as angry as I've seen him out there on the floor during a game as you get another look at that Adeola Latunji dunk. Took him 2 tries, but able to convert on that second attempt at the slam. And Dolphins in their timeout huddle listening to a very animated T.J. Tibbs, who was not happy with Divine Chisholm taking that all the way to the rim off of a make, and it's been a very high-paced back-and-forth game in this first half, but on the back of their three-point shooting, the Dolphins lead it by 9.
Yeah, and you got to really like the way that Divine Chisholm, the 5'9 freshman from Brooklyn, has been playing for the Cardinals. Joe, we're always looking for those exciting plays to watch and follow, and Divine playing very well. Looks like he could be one of those exciting players in the CUNYAC Conference.
It certainly does, and not only has he finished at the rim very well, he's been very aggressive attacking the basket at only 5'9". We mentioned the points in the paint for the two sides before they flashed up on your screen. At that time, it was 12-4. Now it's 16-12 in favor of York as you get another look at that points in the paint tally, and the Dolphins will bring it across center court.
So Stephen Flagg back into the game for the Dolphins. Flagg, Desteem, Christian Taylor, Adeola Latunji, and Shamal Martin as that long shot is up, no good, and Chisholm there to grab the rebound now for the Cardinals. Chisholm's pass nearly stolen away, but Dove able to maintain possession. He feeds it back to Chisholm. His open three-pointer is up, no good. The ball tipped around, and Desteem able to come away with possession. Flagg, long cross-court pass over to Latunji. Latunji working his way inside. He kicks it back to an open Flagg. His three-pointer is no good, and here comes Chisholm and the Cardinals on a 2-1 break, as Martin will get the foul on Tamer from behind, and Tamer will go to the line to shoot 2.
As you get a look there, CSI starting 6 of 10 from three-point range, only 1 of 8 since, but despite that, they've still been able to maintain a near double-digit lead. The lead right now remains 9, but heading to the line is Luka Tamer for a pair, looking to cut into that Dolphins lead. But, Mike, we saw the Dolphins get off to a very hot start, have slowed down a little bit since, but they've done a lot of things well in this game, and you have to like the ball movement you've seen from the College of Staten Island. Much like we spoke about during the women's game, the men have moved the ball extremely well early in this one.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, as Tamer will go to the free throw line here to shoot 2. Cardinals shooting 67% from the line as a team. He makes 1 of 2. And it's an 8-point game. Cardinals on a little 3-0 run of their own to cut the Dolphin lead from 11 back down to 8 as that bounce pass from Latunji is stolen away by Chisholm. He feeds it over to Dove. Dove working the ball in the corner to Tamer. Tamer's three-pointer is up, no good, and the rebound controlled by Taylor.
I spoke about not forcing shots before. That one certainly forced.
And now Taylor loses possession as the Dolphins turn the ball over twice in a row. And that's going to lead to a layup by Cadet. And the Dolphin lead now is down to 6. 5-0 run by the Cardinals to make it a 6-point game. Delahanty working the ball up in the corner to Latunji. His open three-pointer is up, no good. And, you mentioned it before, Joe. Dolphins in danger of falling in love with the three-pointer, and they haven't been hitting them as of late.
Well, it was tough to make it an issue before. They were going down, but you saw the graphic on your screen. They've struggled over the last 5 to 10 minutes or so.
Flagg with the basketball as we're inside of 4 minutes remaining here in the first half. Gets it over to Desteem. Now back to Taylor. Dolphins with 13 seconds to shoot. Flagg looking to drive down the baseline. He forces that shot up. It's no good. He's able to grab the rebound with 5 on the shot clock, and the open three-pointer is good. Big three-pointer by Rigo Desteem.
Definitely a huge three-pointer by Desteem, but taking a look at the way the Cardinals have set up on defense, they appear content to allow the Dolphins to shoot three-pointers. Not really closing out that aggressively, but not giving them space to attack the basket.
As that's Chisholm with the baseline jumper. That's no good. Flagg goes up high for the rebound for the Dolphins. Desteem to Flagg. Now it's Taylor as the Dolphins work the ball around the three-point line. Flagg looking to work his way inside. He kicks the ball out, and the open three-pointer by Latunji is good. Back-to-back three-pointers, Joe, give the Dolphins a 12-point lead.
And just when we thought the Dolphins were going cold from three-point range, once again, they knocked down back-to-back threes. And after the strong start from three-point range, they're now 9 of 21, which is still 43%, a tremendous mark from downtown. And if they continue to shoot it like this, which is tough to expect, they should put themselves in a very good position to win this game. But that's not all they've done well in this one, Mike. The Dolphins have out-rebounded the Cardinals 23-17. They really did a good job taking care of the basketball early in the half, but overall have done a great job taking care of it. Only 4 turnovers in this first half. So if CSI can continue to play clean basketball, avoiding the turnovers, and shoot even half as well as they have in this first half, they should put themselves in a great position to improve to 3-1 in the CUNYAC as we have some women's basketball scores on our screen.
Yeah, you know, a lot of action in the CUNYAC Conference on both the men's and women's side. There's your first result as Kane defeats Lehman, and you see John Jay defeating Baruch 50-49. So the Bearcats continuing to struggle to rebuild the program. And we saw John Jay earlier, and they did show some good things in the women's contest, Joe.
They did, and we saw that against the Dolphins back on December 4th. Seems like it's been so long since we've seen conference basketball, but it's back tonight.
As that ball is thrown inside to Dove, and flag's going to get called for the foul. He felt he was just going for the basketball. The official disagrees. Just 7 fouls in this first half. That's just the 4th team foul on the Dolphins. Good first half. The officials letting the players play, Joe.
As commentators, we certainly appreciate that. Less pauses in the action.
Dove with the basketball. Dove fighting his way inside. He lays it up and in and draws the foul.
Strong finish there by Darren Dove in traffic. Took it right to the rim in the middle of that Dolphins defense, and he'll head to the line for one more. And the Cardinals deficit right now 10, and Dove wasn't shooting the ball very well earlier in this first half. That's a much-needed make for him. I mentioned before he was 3 of 9 from the field. Has connected on one of his next 3. He's now 4 of 12 on his shot attempts in this one, looking for his 10th point right here.
As Dove hits the free throw, he was shooting 85%. And they coming into the game, and the Dolphin lead is down to 9. Latunji with the basketball, working it over to an open Stephen Flagg. His three-pointer is up no good, and Tamer is there to grab the rebound as the Dolphins continue to shoot the three-point shot. Tamer looking for somewhere to go with the basketball. He feeds it to Chisholm. The ball's knocked away and goes up over to Vaughn, and now Chisholm able to regroup. Still plenty of time for the Cardinals to shoot with 10 seconds on the shot clock. Dove driving his way inside, and he draws the foul once again. Second possession in a row, Dove able to get the basket and go to the free throw line.
And it looks like Darren Dove is starting to find what makes him one of the elite scorers in the CUNYAC Conference, taking it right into the teeth of the Dolphins defense once again. And on that last Dolphins possession, Stephen Flagg with another great look from 3. Started off 3 of 3 from beyond the arc. He's now 3 of 6.
So the Dolphins led by 12 just a moment ago. That lead is now down to 7. But the Dolphins in possession of the basketball is Taylor with the open pull-up jumper. Tough shot by Christian. He makes it look easy. He now has 11 for the Dolphins.
He does, and he seems to be able to score at will anywhere from inside of 20 feet.
Dolphins now with their lead back up to 9 points as it's Dove with the basketball, feeding it inside to Tamer. His shot is no good. Flagg grabs the rebound, and he brings the ball up the center of the floor. Mick now feeding it up over to Flagg. Flagg drives down the lane. That shot is up. No good. Flagg struggling from the floor a little bit more here tonight. Chisholm, crossover dribble. Works it up over to Tamer. Back up over to Chisholm. Chisholm spinning inside. Kicking the ball back up over to Vaughn. That shot is up. No good. And Latunji there to grab the rebound for the Dolphins. Latunji working the ball over to Flagg, back up over to Latunji. Now it's Mick with the three-pointer, and that's good. Mick now 1 of 2 from the three-point line.
And that's a deep three-pointer from Austin. Mick did not hesitate, always shoots with confidence. TJ Tibbs mentioned that to us during our last halftime interview with him.
Dolphins lead by 12. That matches their biggest lead of the game as Taylor looks to come away with the steal. Taylor driving it up inside and laying it up and in. Taylor now has 13. He leads all scorers, and the Dolphins have their biggest lead of the game.
And it's impossible to watch Christian Taylor and not be impressed with his body control. Sprinting toward the rim, able to come to a complete stop, lay it up and in with ease.
18 seconds remaining on the shot clock as it's Tamer now with the basketball. Tamer looking to feed it up over to Chisholm. And Chisholm is going to draw the foul. As that foul is going to be called on Mick. That's going to be his first, the team's 7th. So that will send Chisholm to the free throw line to shoot a 1-and-1. The freshman coming into today's game shooting 70% from the free throw line. So Divine getting ready for his first free throw of a 1-on-1 opportunity. As that's up and in, he'll have one more upcoming as he attempts to cut the Dolphin lead down to 12.
Chisholm's played the entire first half, 5 of 11 from the field with that last make. He now has 12 points, also has 3 rebounds and a couple of assists. Good first half stat line for Divine Chisholm.
As Chisholm hits the second, and that makes it a 12-point game. The shot clock is off. As we have a little bit of a confusion, the buzzer went off and the ball went in bounds, and I think we're just going to start it all over again as the Dolphins will have an opportunity to get the final shot here in the first half. So the Dolphins will inbound as the shot clock is off. And Taylor brings the ball up towards midcourt and gets it over to Mick. Now back up over to Taylor. Coming out is Etanim to guard Taylor as clock continues to wind down. Now we're under 10 seconds remaining. Mick putting up the long three-pointer. That's up no good. The ball tipped around to Latunji. Latunji's shot is up no good. A lot of contact on the play, and that's going to do it. 1 half in the books. The Dolphins match their biggest lead of the game. It's 12 points going into halftime.
Well, I don't think I have much time for chat. Looks like head coach TJ Tibbs might be halfway over here, but he's meeting his team just shy of center court. So a rare on-the-court meeting between coach and his team as we reach halftime. But very quickly, taking a look back at that first half, Dolphins got off to a very hot start, especially from three-point range. Attempted 24 three-pointers in that first half. We'll be sure to ask Coach Tibbs about that one if he comes over. But the Dolphins, again, off to a great start. Slowed down a bit about midway through that first half. Cardinals got back to within 10. But that wasn't enough for them as they ultimately wind up trailing at halftime by 12 points. And the Dolphins did close the half very strongly.
As we're going to be joined by head men's basketball coach TJ Tibbs, as coach nice enough to come over here and join us at halftime. Coach, the team leads by 12 going into the second half. What do you think of the way the team played in the first half?
Guys are playing hard and unselfishly. They're moving the ball. We got to do a better job in transition defense. Darren Dove is having a phenomenal game. He's a great player. We need to do a lot better job on the defensive end, communicating and just controlling things that we can control.
Coach, the team put up 24 three-point shots in that first half. What do you think about the number of three-pointers the team is taking?
We're getting good shots. We're getting good shots. I'm not really pleased with the fact that we probably don't have that many free throw attempts. We're kind of playing into the hands of their zone. But I want them to be aggressive. I want them to be confident. We probably hit a bunch. So if they're open and they feel like it's a good shot, I feel like it's a great shot. But I do rather them start to look to attack the basket a little bit more.
Looked a little bit upset with the team during one of your timeouts. What was your message to the team in abbreviated form?
It depends which one you're asking for. But, no, just the fact that in transition that we just need to find the guys in transition. We left Luka Tamer open up twice. He hit the three in the corner. And that's something that is simple. We score, we get a dunk on one end, and they're celebrating so much that they can't run back and find their man. So we're not going to be able to beat anybody. We're lucky that York's missing a bunch of shots. We're not going to be able to beat anybody if we play like that. So that was the message for that timeout.
Thanks a lot for joining us, Coach.
Thank you.
That's head men's basketball coach TJ Tibbs, nice enough to join us here at halftime. The Dolphins lead by 12, 47-35. We'll step aside, take a break, and we'll be back to bring you halftime statistics and get you ready for the start of the second half as you're watching CUNY men's basketball coverage right here on your voice of everything CSI Sports, CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
I got a crick in my neck, limp in my step, cramping in my muscles every time I try to flex. But if you throw me love, I'll throw you some more.
Hi, I'm Peter, and there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends.
Come on in! Help yourself to anything.
That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ache than never. To learn more, visit SaveTheFood.com.
I remember, Dad, you and Mom got this car with a hatchback. I said, I'd be happy to give you the money to get a really great car. And he said, well, no, this works for me. I says, why? Because it's the right height to put the meals in. Dad, tell me when you first got an inkling about Meals on Wheels.
There was kind of an abandoned house. That's where we got started with Meals on Wheels. We kind of filled a need for people as they got older.
It's the human interaction that probably fed them much more than the food.
Oh, yeah. When you can see somebody else benefiting by your life in some way, you can't help but feel good about it, I think.
Well, the reason I'm involved, Dad, is because you are, and you're so inspiring. How you've impacted people is enormous.
Drop off a warm meal and get more than you expect. Volunteer at americaletsdolunch.org.
America, let's do lunch.
I remember, Dad, you and Mom got this car with a hatchback. I said, I'd be happy to give you the money to get a really great car. And he said, well, no, this works for me. I says, why? Because it's the right height to put the meals in. Dad, tell me when you first got an inkling about Meals on Wheels.
There was kind of an abandoned house. That's where we got started with Meals on Wheels. We kind of filled a need for people as they got older.
It's the human height to put the meals in. Dad, tell me when you first got an inkling about Meals on Wheels.
There was kind of an abandoned house. That's where we got started with Meals on Wheels. We kind of filled a need for people as they got older.
It's the human interaction that probably fed them much more than the food.
Oh, yeah. When you can see somebody else benefiting by your life in some way, you can't help but feel good about it, I think.
Well, the reason I'm involved, Dad, is because you are, and you're so inspiring. How you've impacted people is enormous.
Drop off a warm meal and get more than you expect. Volunteer at americaletsdolunch.org.
America, let's do lunch.
Dad is an adventure full of special moments.
A cruise!
Surprise!
Unexpected moments.
I got this.
And even awkward moments.
Okay, Dad, thank you.
But every moment you spend with your kids, even the smallest moments, can make the biggest impact on your child's life. So take a moment to be a dad today.
Do you want to retire like a champ? Just like legendary basketball star Uncle Drew?
Don't do him like that, Uncle Drew.
You're already acing the game. You've got your dream ride.
Don't be slamming my door.
Sorry about that.
You just did the same.
Gotta get the boys. Your dream vacation and your dream team. And now you can make your retirement just as legendary.
I get buckets.
Get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
First time I tried Vicodin, it was laying around my mom's house. And then I kept taking them whenever I could get them. I didn't know they'd be this addictive. I didn't know how far I'd go to get more.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
No doubt you're going places, young lady.
Thank you. And thank you for the interview as well. I can imagine it was the last thing that you wanted to do after such a long campaign meeting.
You really are a very intelligent young woman. You're very smooth.
You're very smooth yourself.
You have no idea.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again. But an awkward silence can be a great thing, like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
We're back here at halftime. The College of Staten Island has never trailed in this game. They've led by as many as 14. They go into halftime, Joe, with a 12-point lead.
And the Dolphins got off to a hot start. We mentioned it right before Coach T.J. Tibbs joined us for the halftime interview. Dolphins shot the three-pointer extremely well early in the game, hit 6 of their first 10, ended up hitting 4 of their last 14, but despite that, still shot 42% from three-point range in that first half. Stellar shooting by the Dolphins in half number 1 overall as well at 45% as you take a look at the halftime stats. Rebounding favored the Dolphins as well, 27-19. The turnover battle was even, but another area that we really saw these two teams fighting it out throughout the first half was points in the paint. Cardinals wind up winning in that department 22-16, but had a big 12-4 advantage early on. CSI really diversified their offensive attack later in the first half, and it's reflected in the points in the paint mark for them at the conclusion of half number 1 with 16. And if you're the Dolphins overall, you have to like what you saw if you're a fan of the team, but in the second half there are certainly things to correct, and Coach Tibbs was talking to us about that.
Yeah, and Joe, you look at the Cardinals score, and they finished with 35 points in that first half, 25 of them from the freshman Divine Chisholm and Darren Dove, who both played well in that first half for the Cardinals.
They certainly did. Chisholm got off to a very strong start in the game, wound up shooting 5 of 11 with 13 points, hit 1 of his 3 shots from beyond the arc and a pair from the free throw line on 2 attempts. But Darren Dove really picked up his game later in that first half, and we heard Coach Tibbs talk about what a great player he is, and he showed it late in half number 1. Wound up shooting 5 of 13 in the first half. That was after a 3 of 9 start. But those last 2 makes of the half that had his made field goal total rise from 3 to 5 were both through contact and fouls, resulting in and 1 plays from the free throw line. He hit 1 of those 2 free throw attempts following the made baskets. So Dove ends the first half with 12 points on 5 of 13, only hit 1 of his 4 three-pointers. The Cardinals did not shoot it well from three-point range, only 3 of 10, and it's good for them that they're only down 12 points given the way the Dolphins shot it. CSI just came out so hot at the beginning of that first half. It looked like the Cardinals may get overwhelmed, but they wound up getting back to within single digits for a time before CSI extended their lead back to double digits and ultimately 12 points at the half.
And the Dolphins with 13 assists on their 18 baskets. They're led in scoring once again, Joe, by Christian Taylor. Taylor, the leading scorer in the CUNYAC Conference. He's shooting over 50% from the field coming into the game this afternoon, Joe. 13 points on 6 of 10 shooting to go along with 5 rebounds. So another good first half for Christian Taylor.
And once again, Christian Taylor doing it all in this one, shooting and rebounding the basketball well, as always, shooting the ball efficiently, back up at 60%. We mentioned both he and Adeola Latunji with a 50% mark shooting on the 2018 campaign. But taking a look down the Dolphins stat lines, good games for several players in this one. Stephen Flagg got off to a red-hot start, knocked down his first 3 attempts from beyond the arc, finished the half with only those 9 points, shooting 3 of 9. Ended up hitting 3 of his 6 three-point attempts in half number 1. Adeola Latunji scored 10 on 4 of 8. His shooting once again at or above 50%. He also connected on a pair of three-pointers. We mentioned Christian Taylor and his 13 points. His stat line, Rigo Destim on the cusp of double digits as well. He scored 9 on 3 of 5 shooting, including all 3 of his three-pointers. So stellar shooting from the Dolphins in half number 1, as we already mentioned. And once again, they're on the verge of having 4 players scoring double figures.
And, Joe, both teams doing a real good job protecting the basketball, just 4 turnovers apiece.
Very clean games on both sides, and that's due in large part to how well these two teams have shot the ball. Not very long possessions. The Dolphins have moved the ball very well. You mentioned the assists for CSI in that first half. Dolphins working it around the perimeter very well, getting open three-pointers. York attacking the rim decisively and not really wasting much time doing it. So both teams played a very clean first half and took care of the basketball. There were issues getting back in transition for the Dolphins, as TJ Tibbs mentioned when we spoke to him. And for the Cardinals, of course, they need to close out on the outside shots. 10 of 24 isn't too bad considering where they began. They had allowed 6 of 10 shooting to the Dolphins on the Dolphins' first 10 attempts from beyond the arc. 4 of their next 14, but the Cardinals definitely need to give the Dolphins less space from three-point range, and we spoke about it off the air very quickly and briefly, but when the Dolphins attack down the middle of the lane, the Cardinals' defense seems to part a bit and move toward the outside shooters in fear of the kick out. So if the Dolphins are able to attack the rim in that manner and have the defense parting in front of them, they should get some good looks at the very least from the mid-range, if not from point-blank range. And if the Cardinals decide not to open up that space in the middle, they'll certainly have more three-point looks.
We're at the tank here where the College of Staten Island has a 47-35 lead over the York Cardinals here at halftime. If you joined us late, you missed the Lady Dolphins extending their unbeaten streak to 4 games in a row in conference play. As both teams going into the new year hot, Joe. Both teams back in action against Hunter College this Saturday afternoon. Huge game upcoming for the women's team against Hunter, as both teams are undefeated heading into play tonight.
And one of the games I remember most from last year was the men's basketball matchup against Hunter. I believe that game ended on a block by Jade Spencer, rejecting the attempt at the rim by the Hawks to try and give them the lead or perhaps tie that game. Whatever the situation was, a huge block brought that one to a close, and I look forward to seeing those two teams meet again this weekend.
So we're at halftime. The Dolphins will inbound the basketball here to start the second half. They're leading by 12. They've never trailed, I should say, in the game tonight as we're underway here in the second half. Flag with the basketball. Flag looking to attack it to the rim. He kicks the ball out to Desteem. Desteem's floater in the lane is up and in, and it looked that time, Joe, like the Dolphins were determined to take the ball inside.
It definitely appeared that way because Desteem passed up a wide-open three for a tough spinning shot in the lane, but he was able to finish it to his credit. Dolphins lead by 14.
Dolphins match their biggest lead of the game as Dove now looks to work inside. That ball's going to be deflected off the hands of the Cardinals, and the Cardinals have their first turnover here in the second half, only their 5th turnover of the game. Cardinals come out and look to trap the ball along the baseline, but the Dolphins able to get the ball across the midcourt line, and now they look to set up offensively. Feed inside to Martin. Martin kicking the ball back out now to Desteem, over to Latunji. Now it's Flag. He puts up the open three-pointer and starts the second half hitting a three-pointer.
Well, Rigo Desteem had a couple of open looks for three. He passed up. Stephen Flagg did not hesitate. Missed his last three-pointers in the first half. Connects on his first attempt of half number 2.
Dolphins with their biggest lead of the afternoon now. It's 17, a minute and 15 seconds into this second half. His Chisholm shot is up, no good, but we're going to have a whistle and a loose ball foul called on the play. I believe that will be on Akeel Vaughn. It will be. That'll be his first and the team's first here in the second half. Joe, the Dolphins getting off to the kind of start in the second half they were looking for.
And the coaching staff certainly has to be happy with what they've seen from their team in the first minute 20-plus of this second half, continuing to move the ball well, have already forced a turnover and connected on their first 2 attempts in the field.
Sorry, Joe. Desteem with the basketball over to Latunji. Now it's Flag. Flag looking to break it along the baseline. Now he kicks it out to Taylor. Taylor driving in among 3 players, lays it up and in. 7-0 run to start the second half for the Dolphins.
All right there, the Cardinals defense did collapse around Taylor, but nobody wanted to commit and reach in after the ball, making it an easy finish.
19-point lead for the Dolphins. They have their biggest lead of the game as Tamer had that ball actually blocked from behind and was still able to get it to go up and in to break that 7-0 Dolphin run to start the second half.
That draws a smile from Tamer as he heads back up the floor.
Desteem with the basketball now for the Dolphins. First points of the second half now for the Cardinals. They feed it inside to Taylor. His jumper is up, no good. Martin hustling for the rebound, able to keep it alive enough for Desteem to play it away. He looks to feed it inside. Nobody there, so the Dolphins will turn the ball over for the first time here in the second half.
Dolphins got a bit too excited there off of the turnover, looking to turn it into a quick basket. Could not, and threw it away instead, as we'll have a Cardinals substitution.
So the Cardinals with the basketball now as they try to work their way back into the game now, finding themselves down 17 as Tamer looks to drive that ball inside. Bounce pass over to Chisholm. His open three-pointer is up, no good. Fight for the rebound, and a nice job by the Dolphins to come away with the basketball. Flag able to work his way inside. The floater bounces off the rim 3 times and drops in.
And Stephen Flagg gives the Dolphins another player who could score it both inside and out. And now with 3 potent threats, Latunji, Flagg, and Taylor, the Dolphins offense has really picked up the last few games.
Dolphins with 4 players out on the floor with double digits. Flagg now has 14 for the Dolphins as the Dolphins have their biggest lead of the game. It's 19. Taylor looking to feed it ahead to Martin. Tough pass, but the ball bounces over to Latunji. His short jumper is up, no good. And here comes Chisholm with the rebound. Chisholm looking to take it against Flagg. Flagg with good defense, and now Taylor looking to bounce back for the Dolphins. And we're going to have a whistle and an offensive foul called on Taylor. So the Dolphins will turn the ball over, up 19 points. It looked like the Dolphins would have an opportunity at the basket, but Taylor gets called for the offensive foul, Joe.
And we'll get another look at Stephen Flagg's offensive prowess. No fear taking it inside and no hesitation pulling it from beyond the arc either. Stephen Flagg definitely determined at the offensive end of the floor whenever the basketball is in his hands. And we saw his passing ability in that last game as well. He's not only a shooter, he can dish him.
So Andrew Cartalis checks into the game for the Dolphins as that ball is deflected away. And now coming to take it to the basket is Jaden Liano, and he's going to draw the foul. And that foul is going to be on Martin. The crowd didn't like the call, as Jamal Martin will pick up his third personal and second team foul of the half for the Dolphins.
We've seen a couple of early substitutions for the Cardinals in this second half. Akil Vaughn and Luka Tamer have already headed over to the bench. One of those players who entered at the free throw line right now, that's Lano at the free throw line. And another York substitution as well. Jonathan Jones checked in earlier in the half before Lano came into the game. Lano, the shooter, one more for him at the line.
Lano hits both free throws. He's now 5 of 7 from the line for the year. It's his first 2 points, and the Dolphin lead is now 17, 56-39. Cartalis with the basketball. Cartalis kicking it out over to Flagg. Flagg's open three-pointer goes in and out, and Chisholm is there to grab the rebound as the Cardinals try to work their way back in the game. Liano over to Chisholm. Chisholm, a beautiful bounce pass over to Liano. His reverse layup is up, no good. A fight for the rebound. It's going to be knocked out of bounds. Last touch by Dove, so it will be Cardinal ball. Dolphin ball, I should say. Cardinals had a couple of opportunities, Joe. Good hustle defense by the Dolphins.
We've seen a lot of aggressive attempts inside by the Cardinals, but not much involvement for Darren Dove so far in the second half. We'll see if they look to get the basketball in his hands the next time down the floor.
Cartalis with the basketball. Now Martin. Martin's jumper from the baseline is good. 58-39. The Dolphins match their biggest lead of the game with 15:35 remaining here in the second half. As that short jumper is up, no good. And Latunji goes up to grab another rebound for the Dolphins. Latunji looking to drive it coast to coast. Ball stripped away, and here comes Dove with the basketball. Dove taking it coast to coast, and he lays it up and in to cut the Dolphin lead down to 17.
If you're a fan of the Cardinals, hopefully that gets Darren Dove going in the second half. His team's deficit now 17 points.
Taylor looking to feed the ball inside to Martin. He's clubbed in the head, and he'll draw the foul. Nice extra pass that time by Taylor, getting the ball inside to Shamal, and he gets fouled on the play as Jaden Liano, the 6-foot freshman from Queens, will pick up his first personal.
And it seems like the Cardinals just can't get set into their defense quickly enough. The Dolphins move the ball up the floor quickly and get a good quality look within only a few seconds. So you have to like what you've seen from them offensively in that regard as well. Not only scoring efficiently, but getting into their offensive sets very quickly.
Martin, a 63% shooter, hits the first. And the Dolphins now lead 59-41. One more upcoming here for Martin. He's got 4 points on the afternoon for the Dolphins. As his second free throw is in and out. And that'll be Jonathan Jones to grab the rebound now for the Cardinals. John handing the ball off to Dove. Dove looking to drive down the lane. His underhand scoop is up, no good. They're grabbing the rebound is Jonathan Jones among 3 Dolphin players. He misses the putback but draws the foul. Great rebound that time by Jones, Joe.
And he went down very hard. He will earn this trip to the free throw line. He took quite the fall there, but gets right up and will take his position at the charity stripe for a pair.
Yeah, he was the one red jersey among 3 Dolphins. Did a nice job coming away with the basketball and hitting the first free throw. 59-42 as Nicholas Taylor will check into the game, replacing his brother Christian, as Taylor will go to the bench now for the Dolphins. As you look at the free throw totals up on your screen, Cardinals now 8 of 10 from the free throw line, and the Dolphin lead is down to 16. Latunji working the ball out over to Taylor. Taylor double teamed, and he'll draw the foul on the play, as that's going to be on Malik John, as John picks up his first. Both teams with 3 team fouls apiece here through the first 5 minutes of this second half. Neither team in any foul trouble in that first half, Joe. 3 quick team fouls apiece here in half number 2. Nicholas Taylor over to Cartalis, back out over to Taylor. Now Cartalis, he has the open three-pointer, and that's good. Cartalis misses his first 3 shots, Joe, but buries that three-pointer.
And at what point do the Cardinals make an adjustment defensively and come out of this zone? The Dolphins are simply picking it apart.
As Jones is able to lay that one up and in to cut the Dolphin lead back down to 17, and we're going to have a full timeout taken by the Cardinals. So we'll step aside, take a break. 14 minutes, 29 seconds remaining here in the second half. Dolphins lead 62-45. You're watching men's basketball coverage right here on your voice of CSI Sports, CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
We're back here with 14 minutes, 29 seconds remaining here in the second half. Dolphins find themselves up 17, Joe. They lead 62-45.
And I can't help but wonder if the Cardinals are going to come out of this zone defense. They simply have been locked into this zone since the start of this game. The Dolphins have picked it apart, shot extremely well, and the Cardinals simply can't get enough stops in this defense to move forward and get back in this game from what we've seen.
So the Dolphins have outscored the Cardinals 15-10 so far here in the second half, but the Dolphins turn the ball over once again, as driving the ball to the basket is Malik John to lay it up and in, and the Dolphin lead is now down to 15. Latunji with the basketball. Over to an open Cartalis. His three-pointer is up, no good, but Delahanty able to grab the rebound for the Dolphins. Taylor kicking the ball out in the corner now to Flagg. Flagg stops, pulls back. His three-pointer is up, no good. Latunji with the tip, that's no good. Dolphins had 3 attempts, but could not get the ball to go down. Chisholm driving down the lane, but he'll be fouled before the shot.
Definitely going to be important for the Dolphins to avoid foul trouble down the stretch. They're scoring more than enough to maintain this lead, but putting the Cardinals in an early bonus situation could certainly help keep them hanging around and ultimately get them back into the game if the situation gets bad enough. Right now, the foul situation only 4 for the Dolphins with 13:47 to go in the second half.
So the Dolphin lead is down to 13 now, as the Cardinals able to lay that one up and in. It's now 62-49. Cardinals on a 6-0 run here to make it a 13-point game. Latunji working it up in the corner to Flagg. Flagg, a lot of contact in the inside, but no call as Dove is able to come away with the block. Chisholm drives down the lane. His shot is up, no good, and Delahanty there to grab the rebound for the Dolphins. Delahanty, pass to Latunji, and we're going to have a whistle and a blocking foul on the play. I thought it was a good call, Joe, as it looked like Liano really didn't get to the spot in time, so he'll pick up the block.
Certainly a big call, because if we're heading back the other way in a 13-point game, things could go from bad to worse quickly for the Dolphins, but a chance to extend their lead back to 15 here. Dolphins looking for a big basket. They've been kept off the scoreboard for the last couple of minutes.
14 fouls apiece now as the Dolphins inbound the basketball and get it over to Delahanty. Delahanty hands it off to Latunji. Now it's Cartalis. Cartalis looking to feed it inside to Delahanty. He nearly lost the handle. Dolphins fortunate not to turn the ball over. They'll get to inbound with 13 on the shot clock.
Cardinals have looked like a bit of a different team coming out of the timeout, a bit more intensity defensively, pressuring the Dolphins as they bring the ball up the floor to hope to see that intensity convert into some stops.
Now it's Latunji with the ball for the Dolphins. Latunji fighting his way inside, can't get the basket to go. That was Destime on the miss for the Dolphins. That pass is stolen away, and now Cartalis feeding it ahead to Latunji, who jams it home. Adeola Latunji with his second dunk of the game. He has 12, and that opens the lead back up to 15.
Cardinals simply can't afford to turn the ball over. Much like we said in the first game, the women's team turning the ball over far too much, and turnovers have really hurt this momentum built by the men.
Tamer with the basketball now for the Cardinals. His pass is stolen away. Back-to-back turnovers by the Cardinals as Latunji looked to drive it inside. Nice defensive play that time to block the shot by Latunji, as we have an opportunity to see that Latunji dunk once again as he gets ahead of the field and jams it home for the second time tonight.
Well, Latunji certainly can run the floor, and he can certainly play up above the rim. We've seen that on display in this one as the Dolphins now possess a 15-point lead and the ball once again.
Austin Mick and Christian Taylor checking back into the game. Terrible pass by the Dolphins, and that's going to lead to Malik John driving it in the basket. He nearly blew the dunk, but he didn't, and that makes it a 13-point game. Big swing in the game for the Cardinals.
Well, he certainly blew the dunk, Mike. That was a layup.
As Austin Mick takes that three-point attempt, that's no good. And here come the Cardinals with an opportunity to further cut into that Dolphin lead, as that's going to be Dolphin basketball as that ball goes out of bounds. And Dove tried to do a little bit too much on that play and turns the ball over for the Cardinals. Dolphins have led by as many as 19 here in the second half. Their lead down to 13 as they have possession of the basketball now. And the Cardinals in the middle of a little bit of a run as Austin Mick drives down the lane. Reverse layup is up and in. Big move that time by Austin Mick.
I spoke about the pressure after the inbounds pass being put on the Dolphins by the Cardinals. Once the Dolphins get into their half-court offense, they seem completely comfortable with the defense they're seeing and have converted efficiently throughout this entire game.
Mick has 5 now for the Dolphins as Dove looks to drive inside, somehow gets away with a travel on the play, and now it's going to be a whistle, and it's going to be a jump ball. Possession arrow will go to York. I'm not sure how Dove wasn't called for a travel on that play, but it will remain Cardinal basketball.
Well, that's a good point, Mike. It looked like he lost his footing and took a few steps as he stumbled down to the floor, but they'll say he was tied up before.
So the Cardinals looking to inbound the basketball now as they get the ball inside to Dove. Dove looking to sweep it inside. His shot is short, but John is there to catch it and lay it up and in to cut the Dolphin lead down to 13 once again. Austin Mick, the open three-pointer, that's no good, but Taylor able to go up and grab the rebound as Dove just going right over his back and grabbing him will pick up the personal foul.
This game getting a little physical, Mike, and you could hear the fans behind us not necessarily happy with the way that one played out, but there's no attempt at the ball there. He's behind Taylor. Taylor had clear possession, and I'm not sure what they would want Christian to do there. He had the basketball, and Dove does pick up the foul. He'll head to the bench, and we'll get another look.
Yeah, that's going to be the second foul for Dove as you see Dove going over the top and getting a little bit of a headlock on Christian Taylor. So it will be Dolphins to inbound the basketball as Chisholm and Taylor fighting for position on the inbounds. Taylor with the basketball now for the Dolphins as they have 23 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Bounce pass over to Destim. Rigo looking to break inside. Another bad pass by the Dolphins as they turn the ball over once again and now commit a foul in the backcourt as the Dolphin offense starting to sputter a little bit here, Joe, in the second half.
And that first mistake on the turnover compounded by the foul. That's only the Dolphins' 15th foul, but as I said before, they certainly want to stay away from putting the Cardinals in a bonus situation down the stretch because the way this game has gone, that's one of the few ways I can see the Cardinals getting back closer. They trail by 13 with 10.5 minutes to go.
Cardinals in the middle of a 14-8 run to cut the Dolphin lead, which is as high as 19 down to 13. As that ball is gathered by Destim behind the back pass to Latunji, or over the head pass, who lays it up and in. Latunji now has 14, and the Dolphin lead is 15 once again.
Clever play there by Destim, throwing the ball over his head and putting it perfectly ahead of Latunji for the finish.
Tough shot taken by Chisholm. That's up no good, as going up high for the rebound on the play are the Cardinals, and they'll reset their offense now with 22 seconds to shoot. Tamer with the basketball. Tamer now feeding the ball out over to John. John fighting his way inside, and we're going to have a whistle and a jump ball, and this time the possession arrow will go to the Dolphins.
And the Cardinals are simply getting stifled every time they try and take the ball inside. We've seen a lot of jump balls to our right over the last few minutes, and this one will go the way of the Dolphins as we get another look at that mad scramble for it on the floor, and Desteem over his head, leading Adiola Latunji up the floor. He would ultimately finish over Divine Chisholm, as you see right there.
Dolphins have led in the second half by as many as 19. Cardinals have cut it down to 13. They now trail by 15 as the Dolphins in possession of the basketball. Mick getting it over to Desteem as Desteem gets the ball across the midcourt line. Now feeds it over to Mick, inside to Taylor. His shot is blocked away, but we're going to have a whistle and a foul called on the Cardinals, so that will send the Dolphins to the free throw line. That foul will be on Akil Vaughn. That's his second, the team's sixth. And we're going to have a whistle and a full timeout taken on the floor. So we'll step aside and take a break. 9 minutes and 29 seconds remaining in the second half. Dolphins lead 68-53. We'll step aside and we'll be right back.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help, and slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
We're back with 9 minutes and 29 seconds remaining here in the second half, Joe. The Dolphins got off to a big start in the second half. They opened the lead up to as many as 19. Cardinals have been able to cut it down to 13, but that's as close as they've been able to come.
And I think this game in a nutshell right now is the Dolphins getting off to the hot start, as you mentioned, and being on cruise control since. The Cardinals got to within single digits earlier in the game, but the Dolphins have since put distance between themselves and York College. I believe the closest the Cardinals have been in the second half is about 12 points. So if York can't get any closer than that soon, they're going to have a very tough road back, and the road back is already going to be difficult as the Dolphins have shot the ball extremely well in this game.
So Christian Taylor will go to the free throw line here for the Dolphins. He'll shoot two. It'll be Taylor, Desteem, Mick, Delahanty, and Latunji on the floor for the Dolphins as Christian Taylor will go to the free throw line. Taylor shooting 70% from the line coming into the game tonight, and he hits the first. 69-53. One more free throw coming here for Christian. And his second free throw is up, and that's no good. So the Dolphins with a 16-point lead as the Cardinals bring the ball up the floor with 9:23 remaining in the second half. Pass inside, ping-ponged away. It's going to be a jump ball, and this time the possession arrow will go to the Cardinals.
And there's another jump ball down at that end of the floor, Mike. These two teams have been scrambling for the ball when it's loose down there, but more importantly, the Dolphins have just stifled everything the Cardinals have tried to do inside and certainly haven't lacked hustle when chasing after the ball once it hits the floor.
As that pass is inside, fed to Chisholm, who lays it up and in. And that's going to make it a 14-point game, and Chisholm will go to the free throw line, and he can make it a 13-point game once again as the Cardinals refuse to go away quietly, Joe.
They certainly have refused to go away in this one, and there's still time, 9:15 on the clock, but they're going to have to slow the Dolphins' offense down. CSI still shooting above 47% in this game, and if they continue to shoot the basketball that efficiently, York can shoot 42% as they have in the second half, but that won't be enough.
13-point game once again as the Cardinals have been able to cut that Dolphin lead down to 13, but really haven't been able to get any closer. Taylor with the basketball, now feeds it over to Mick. Now it's Latunji. Latunji stops his pull-up jumper halfway down and out, and the rebound's going to be grabbed by Etneem. Etneem feeding it up over to John. John's shot is up, no good, and Delahanty there to grab the rebound for the Dolphins. Big opportunity there for the Cardinals.
Well, the Cardinals trying to attack the basket, but it hasn't proven fruitful so far in the second half.
Mick bounce pass into Delahanty. Delahanty works it out over to Mick. Now it's Delahanty on the baseline, feeding it up over to Taylor. Taylor fighting his way to the rim. A lot of contact on the play, but nothing called. Chisholm with the basketball. Chisholm stops. Pull-up three is good. And just like that, the Cardinals have made it a 10-point game.
And the Cardinals will certainly need more of that, but they need stops. They've gotten a couple consecutively and will need more of the same.
Mick, the open three-pointer is short, as Mick is struggling from the three-point line here tonight, but the Dolphins able to grab the offensive rebound. Latunji feeding the ball back up over to Desteem. Inside of 8 minutes remaining here in the second half. Taylor, tough fadeaway jumper is good. Tough basket by Christian Taylor. He now has 18 to open the Dolphin lead back to 12.
And you can't understate how big that Adeola Latunji offensive rebound was. Cardinals had all of the momentum, but he gave the Dolphins one more shot at it, and Taylor converts.
Big rebound there by Latunji as the Cardinals get the ball to the rim, but that time it's a missed layup by Vaughn. And here come the Dolphins with the basketball once again. Desteem working his way down the lane. That's no good. Taylor able to grab the offensive rebound for the Dolphins. Tough fadeaway jumper is good. 2 back-to-back tough shots by Christian Taylor.
Cardinals have no answer for Taylor, and I think Christian sensed that this game was getting a little bit more tense down the stretch. His team relinquishing that lead, and he's gone into takeover mode at the offensive end.
Taylor, the first player to 20 points on either team, as that's a tough pass inside, looking that time for Vaughn, but the Dolphins will knock the ball out of bounds, so it will remain Cardinal basketball. 7:03 remaining in this second half, as Nicholas Taylor will check into the game along with Andrew Cartalis, as they'll join Delahanty and Christian Taylor out on the floor along with Latunji. Under 7 minutes now remaining in the game. Cardinals working the ball up over to Dove. Dove hands the ball off now to Tamer. 3 seconds to shoot. Tamer, the long three-pointer is up, no good. And now the Dolphins with the basketball. They've already opened the lead back up to 14. Cartalis over to Nicholas Taylor. Taylor pulling the ball out now to Cartalis. Feeds the ball inside to Latunji. Latunji with a fadeaway jumper. That's no good, but Delahanty there to grab the rebound. We'll have a stoppage in play as the shot clock was inappropriately reset, so they'll have to reset the shot clock. But another big offensive rebound, Joe, gives the Dolphins an opportunity with 15 seconds on the shot clock. Their lead back to 14.
Well, the Cardinals' only opponent now is not the Dolphins. It is also the clock, and with 6:30 to go in this game, the Cardinals trailing by 14. They simply can't afford to give the Dolphins second chances. In the last 2 trips down the floor, CSI has secured a pair of second chance opportunities and made the most of them.
Yeah, so 2 big back-to-back baskets by Christian Taylor to get him to 20 points. To open up a 10-point Dolphin lead to 14, and they have possession of the basketball once again as Stephen Flagg is checked back in to the game for the Dolphins. Flagg, pull-up jumper from the top of the key, back-breaking jumper there by Stephen Flagg.
And he's been so good out of the triple threat these last 2 games, facing up the defender. They don't know what he's going to do. He can pull up, he can attack.
As Dove's jumper is up, no good, and that ball's going to be out of bounds, so it will be Dolphin basketball. And Joe, since the Cardinals came back to make it a 10-point game with 8 minutes and 15 seconds remaining, they've gone scoreless for 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Dolphins on a 6-0 run. They have a 16-point lead.
Like I said, it seemed like the Dolphins and Christian Taylor in particular felt a sense of urgency come over them, and they responded in a big way.
As Flagg taking that ball hard to the rim, looking for the foul, doesn't get it. And here comes John with the basketball. His wild shot's no good. Put back by Jones is no good. And now it's the Dolphins on a 2-on-1 as Latunji drives down the lane and lays it up and in. And we're going to have a whistle as head coach C.J. Tibbs looking for a foul that, honestly, you could hear Latunji's hand get slapped underneath my headphones from here. Tibbs looking for the foul, didn't get it, but the Dolphins on an 8-0 run, Joe, to open that lead back up to 18 as you have an opportunity to see the replay of Latunji driving that ball to the rim and laying it up and in. So Latunji with 16, Flagg with 16, Taylor with 20, and the Dolphins lead back to 18 once again.
4 double-digit scores for the Dolphins once again. It's become more and more normal since Stephen Flagg has joined the lineup. They have at least 3 double-digit scores, but Rigo Destime joining that bunch as well with 11 points in this game on 4 of 8 shooting. He's connected on all 3 of his 3-pointers. But you already mentioned the 3 big names, Taylor, Latunji, and Flagg. They've gotten it done scoring, but Taylor has also gotten it done on the glass. He has 8 rebounds, a couple of those offensive rebounds, and Adeola Latunji has 9 rebounds, 3 offensive boards as well, as CSI is in the midst of an 8-0 run right now since the Cardinals cut the lead down to 10 points. And I should also mention Stephen Flagg has 5 rebounds and 3 assists. Latunji has 4 assists. And Taylor does not have an assist in this game, which is uncharacteristic for him, but he shot the ball extremely well once again, hasn't needed them.
Yeah, and Joe, it was those 2 huge baskets by Christian Taylor as you see the John J. Baruch update in men's basketball. 32-30. That John Jay team looked pretty good, Joe, defeating the Dolphins here on their home floor back on December 4th.
They certainly did, and we'll see them one more time this season. Dolphins play them on the road.
So if John Jay is going to if York is going to get back in the game, they need baskets and stops as Chisholm's shot is blocked away, but Chisholm does a good job following up, getting possession of the ball back and laying it up and in, Joe. He leads all scores, 21 points for the 5'9 freshman.
It's been a very strong effort from Chisholm. He got off to a great start, but the shooting has tailed off a bit for him.
Latunji out at the 3-point line inside of 5 minutes remaining here in the game. Now Flagg working his way inside and laying it up and in, and that's the kind of high possession shot, Joe, the Dolphins were looking for.
And I've said it more than once in this game. Flagg can score both inside and out.
79-51 as that 3-point attempt goes in and out, and the Dolphins with the basketball here, Joe, and an opportunity maybe to close it out.
Well, they can certainly run 30 seconds off the clock, and that will go a long way towards sealing the outcome of this one.
As Flagg drives inside, that's no good, but Delahanty left all alone for the putback. He lays it up and in. First points of the game for James. Dolphin lead now 20, Joe.
He has contributed 6 rebounds, 3 of those at the offensive end of the floor.
Dolphins in the middle of a 12-2 run since the Cardinals made it a 10-2 game. Is driving down the lane is Jones. His shot is up no good, but he'll draw the foul. So the Dolphins got off to a fast start here in the second half, opening their lead up to as many as 19. Cardinals able to cut it down to as low as 10, but that's as close as they've gotten so far, as it's now 81-62 with 4:09 remaining, as Jones has 7 on the afternoon. Make that 8, and it's now an 18-point game.
And as well as the Dolphins shot in the first half, they shot 45%. They've improved on that mark in the second half, shooting 47% in half number 2. And it's hard to believe the Cardinals were able to withstand that for so long and make this a 10-point game.
Yeah, and the Dolphins, Joe, with 20 points in the paint here in the second half. As Taylor adds another 2, he has 22, and the Dolphin lead is back up to 20 as we now play garbage time through the last 3.5 minutes or so. Dove with the ball, over to Chisholm. Now it's Tamer out by the 3-point line. Tamer working the ball in the corner to Chisholm. Chisholm driving his way inside. That shot is up, no good. The putback by Cadet is up, no good. A fight for the basketball. It's going to go out of bounds, and it'll remain Cardinal basketball with 6 seconds to shoot.
Despite it not appearing as if the outcome of this game is in question, the fans behind us are certainly still into it, petitioning for the Dolphins to receive possession off the out-of-bounds call, but it won't be so as the Cardinals will inbound following this timeout.
So it'll be a full timeout. Let's keep it right here, Joe, with 3 minutes and 33 seconds remaining in the game. You know, Joe, it's been a good night here for the College of Staten Island. As you look ahead, you see the basketball doubleheader. The next game for both teams will take place this Saturday. Women tip off at 1, men tip off about 3. The pregame will be at 12:45. Of course, we'll have all the action for you right here on CSI Sportsnet. But, you know, both the men and the women, their first game of 4 in 7 days. Women got off to a great start in Game 1. The men 3 minutes and 33 seconds away from closing out Game 2.
And we spoke about it during the pregame. Much like last year, the men got off to a slow start in 2018, but really began to pick up their play over the last couple of weeks, or I should say at least upon returning from the Christmas break. They played extremely well in the Tournament of Heroes, probably the best basketball we've seen them play this year. We'd only seen them twice before then, and both of those games resulted in Dolphins losses. But beginning around December 7th with that matchup against Medgar Evers on the road, the Dolphins have really picked things up. That game began a 4-game Dolphins winning streak. Looks like they'll extend it to 5 right here. They almost certainly will, up 20 with 3.5 minutes to play. But you spoke about the conference matchups we have to look forward to in the next few days. That matchup with Hunter here at home this weekend, not as big as the women's matchup. The men of Hunter 1-2 in the conference. They've lost their last 3 games as of tonight, and Cardinals will turn it over yet again. But still a game that you want to have if you're the Dolphins, already possessing a loss in the conference at the hands of John Jay. You won't see them again until January 23rd. So certainly between now and then, you don't want to suffer another conference defeat.
Yeah, you really don't, Joe. And these games are such swing games. And, you know, it looks like the Dolphins will escape here tonight and up their conference record to 3-1 as Taylor with another tough fadeaway jumper. And, you know, when the Dolphins needed offense down the stretch and needed to stop the bleeding, it's been Christian Taylor who's hit 3 big jumpers for the Dolphins. He now leads all scorers with 24. That shot's going to be an air ball, flag there to grab the rebound, and now he'll feed it out to Taylor. Now, Joe, the Dolphins should be able to run a little shot clock.
On the topic of Christian Taylor, I said it before, it seems like a sense of urgency came over this Dolphins team, and their leader offensively certainly is Christian Taylor, who contorted his body awkwardly there and went down, but able to get up after the contact. Still, Taylor took it upon himself to lead the way offensively down the stretch of this game when it seemed like the outcome was becoming more and more questionable. The Cardinals cut it to 10, but at that point, Taylor decided he needed to take it upon himself to score the basketball. He did just that. The Cardinals had no answer.
Yeah, and, you know, Taylor now with 24 points, and he'll go to the free throw line here once again. And the Dolphins have opened their lead to 22. That's their biggest lead of the game. And, you know, again, another big win here for the CSI Dolphins. They were coming off of that big Tournament of Heroes championship, that big win against Tufts. You know, you want the team to come out and play stronger in the conference, coming off of that high of that big win against Tufts. And the Dolphins did a good job of that here tonight, Joe, a game they've never trailed in.
And from the start of the Tournament of Heroes, this team has really seemed locked in at both ends of the floor. And what has impressed me the most is their shooting. They've shot the ball extremely well over the last 3 games we've seen them play. And their efficiency shooting the ball last year was one of the big issues they had earlier in the season. Players like Adeola Latunji improved their shooting as the season went on. Christian Taylor has been fantastic in his 2 seasons now as the Dolphins' starting point guard. And what we've seen from this team offensively the last 3 games or so has really been remarkable.
As that 3-pointer by Dove is good, and that makes it a 19-point game. And Joe, just looking at the stats, one of the more remarkable stats, York has turned the ball over 11 times here tonight. The Dolphins have 22 points off of those 11 Cardinal turnovers.
And that's making the most of Cardinal miscues as Dolphins' 3-pointer is connected on by Nick Taylor to extend the lead to 24. But like I said, Mike, that's making the most of turnovers for sure, and a big part of that is all of the 3-pointers the Dolphins hit back in that first half.
So Austin Mick on the floor now along with Nicholas Taylor. He's joined by Christian Kopak and Abdul Rasak Asola along with Brian Gomez. All these players getting an opportunity to get a little bit of playing time here, Joe, in the last couple of minutes.
And they'll certainly look to make the most of it, though a lot of it may be spent running some clock as the Dolphins are still aggressively trapping the ball handler, and Darren Dove will take a breather down on the floor.
Yeah, you know, Joe, you look out on the floor, and for these 5 players out on the floor, this is a big minute and 40 seconds.
Well, he certainly would love to show something here, and I think hence the trapping defense and pressure exerted by the Dolphins out there right now. Of course, Nicholas Taylor got some minutes earlier in this game, and we saw Christian Kopak get some starts earlier this season as well. His minutes have faded over the last few. Seems like they've gone to Austin Mick over the last 2 or 3 games since the Tournament of Heroes began. But like I said, this Dolphins winning streak began back on December 7th against Medgar Evers. You take a look at the scores of those games, or the games played since then. A huge win over Medgar, but only a 1-point win at Kane, a very close game. I caught the end of that on their live stream. And then back here at home, they've only played 4 games in the previous 3 weeks or so. This makes it 5, and they're right back at it this weekend against Hunter.
And, we didn't mention, Joe, that the Cardinals really hadn't been in action since the beginning of December, so they had quite a long layup as that jump shot is taken and missed by Ashola, and here comes the Cardinals with the rebound as we head to 1 minute and 15 seconds remaining, and the Dolphins holding a 22-point lead. And, Joe, the Dolphins score over 90 points once again.
And they're certainly going to be nearly impossible to beat, achieving that mark. CSI has done that now 3 times in the last 4 games. Make it 4 out of 5. CSI's offensive prowess has been unmatched at any point that I've covered them this year. So CSI has looked excellent in this one, not only on offense, but at both ends of the floor, really gotten it done in all aspects of the game. And I think Coach TJ Tibbs has to be happy with the way they cleaned up some of the issues that plagued them in the first half, though they weren't many.
1 minute remaining in the game. We're down to 50 seconds. As that time Kopak tried to make the extra pass and threw the ball out of bounds. So he turns the ball over, but he was looking to make the extra pass on the play. Dove driving down the lane gets away with a travel and gets called and will draw the foul.
Well, taking a look at the comparison between the first half and second half, the Dolphins in that first half attempting 24 three-pointers, connecting on 10 of them. Only 9 attempts from beyond the arc in the second half. They hit 3 of those, but they upped their shooting to nearly 49% in half number 2. And assuming they don't attempt another shot in this one, that's about they'll close this game out. Overall in the game, the Dolphins shooting about 47%. So a strong shooting effort once again from the Dolphins. I've mentioned it time and time again. Of course, great three-point shooting in that first half. Not as much in half number 2, but you have to like the defensive effort as well. They put a lot of pressure on this Cardinals defense, and though it didn't necessarily result in turnovers, it resulted in a lot of jump balls and some difficult shots. This York team shot only 36% on the game.
Dove now has 21. He and Chisholm both have 21 for the Cardinals as we work our way down to the final 33.3 seconds as Austin Mick will drive the ball down the lane and he'll draw the foul. Austin Mick, 1 of 5 from the free throw line on the year. So Mick struggling a little bit from the free throw line as a freshman for the Dolphins. His first free throw is up and no good. He'll have 1 more upcoming.
This team certainly prioritizes free throws in practice. We've seen them getting some work in before the start of some of our doubleheaders. Today was one of those days, and a lot of the time it's up to one Dolphins player to wrap up practice with a made free throw, and if they fail to make it, they're doing some sprints. So you have to think Mick would like to see better shooting numbers from the free throw line. I'm sure the coaching staff feels the same.
Dolphins lead by 21, a 2.5-second differential on the game clock and the shot clock as Chisholm's shot is up, no good. A fight for the rebound, and Gomez comes away with the basketball, and he will draw the foul, and that will give Brian Gomez, the 5'10" freshman, an opportunity to go to the free throw line. It will be his first attempts from the free throw line. He's missed his only 5 attempts from the field, so an opportunity for Gomez to pick up his first points as a CSI Dolphin.
If there's one thing I noticed over these last couple of minutes for both sides, neither team really giving anything away and playing with the intensity you'd expect at the start of a game. Both teams diving after loose balls, playing trapping defense, and Gomez can't connect on the free throw.
So the shot clock is off as Dove puts up that long three-pointer. That's no good. Mick is there to grab the rebound, and that's going to do it. The College of Staten Island will win their 5th consecutive game and their 6th of the last 7 as they defeat York by a final score of 91-70.
And it was tremendous shooting and tremendous defense in this game. The Dolphins held the Cardinals to sub 35% shooting while shooting 47% from the field themselves. And if they can do that each and every game, they're going to be a very tough team to beat. Of course, you can't expect 47% shooting day in and day out, but strong shooting once again from the Dolphins. That's really been something they've done over the last few games. I don't have the numbers from those games on the road in front of me, but the last 3 games we've seen the Dolphins, they have shot the ball very well. Big performances from several players in this one. We mentioned them before. Flagg, Latunji, Taylor, Desteem all in double digits. Big rebounding numbers for 3 of those 4 as well. Flagg, Latunji, and Taylor getting on the glass and doing a great job securing rebounds. As it looks like we'll have Christian Taylor to join us postgame.
Yes, so it's going to be Christian Taylor, nice enough to come over and join us here, as Taylor finishing with 26 points as the College of Staten Island wins by a final score of 91-70. You know, Christian, the team played very well all game long. Your lead was knocked down to 10. Two big fadeaway jumpers by you opened that 10-point lead to 14. What were you thinking on those two possessions?
Just to get a couple easy baskets. Throughout the whole game, I thought we did a nice job distributing the ball to one another, and my teammates just opened the floor and they trusted me.
Christian, the team started out 2-6 on the year. You guys have now won 5 in a row. Your record now 7-6. What are we looking for from this team in the second half of the season?
Well, I think our whole demeanor changed. We're trusting one another. At the first couple of games, it was more of like ISO, and now we're getting everyone involved and we're trusting each other, and that's the most important thing going forward.
On the season, you're shooting up above 50%. In this one, you shot 65% from the field. What's been the key to your efficiency?
Just to shoot simple shots. Don't rush anything and take my time. And also, I'm looking to find my teammates more, which I think I've been doing in practice, and now it's showing in the games.
You know, Christian, this is the first of 4 conference games in 7 days. What are we looking for against Hunter College this Saturday?
Just to come out poised, trust our coaching scheme, and keep moving forward. The same game, take one by a time.
Thanks for coming over and joining
problem.
us. Good luck in the second half of the season, as that's Christian Taylor, the leading scorer in the CUNYAC Conference, coming into today's game, Joe, averaging 22.7 points a game, finishing with 24 here today. So that average will go up slightly as the Dolphins continue, and they've won now 5 games in a row.
And he put forth that big scoring effort on 11 of 17 from the field, as I mentioned during our interview with Christian. 65% in this game. He's now well up above 50% for the season. Got it done on the glass as well. Had 8 rebounds. Can't say enough about all he does for this Dolphins team. And some of his offensive moves are so impressive. I mentioned the body control all the time. Today he demonstrated the ability to knock down turnaround jumpers and post fadeaways at an efficiency level that we really haven't seen at any point so far in his career. And he's done an incredible job of knocking down shots. But today he took it to another level down the stretch of this game. And I think that may have been a product of the urgency that came over this team and him assuming that leadership role at the offensive end.
So both the men's and the women's team have only lost 1 game since the beginning of December. Both teams will be back in action this Saturday afternoon, as the women will tip off at 1, the pregame at 12:45, the men's tip off at approximately 3 o'clock. But both teams playing hot, Joe, playing well as we get ready to head down the second half of the season.
They certainly have. The winning streak for the men continues with this one, and the women pick up their second consecutive win as well earlier in the day. As you said, both teams playing very well. If you're a fan of these Dolphins, you have to be happy with what you've seen from these two teams, and there's a lot of exciting CUNYAC Conference basketball coming up in the month of January.
So that's going to wrap things up here from the tank at Staten Island. For our executive producers, Dave Pizzuto and Nicholas Durst, and my broadcast partner, Joe Foreman, this is Mike Babusky saying so long. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to join us this Saturday afternoon, as we'll be back with a conference doubleheader, as the men and women will face Hunter College. Tip off at 1 o'clock, pregame at 12:45. Have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you Saturday afternoon.